1933. Washington, D.C. A group of the most powerful men in America, bankers, industrialists, Wall Street giants, sit in a private room. They have a plan. Overthrow the President of the United States. Install a military dictator. Model the government after Mussolini's Italy. And the man they choose to lead the coup? The most decorated soldier in the history of the United States Marine Corps. A man who had fought in every major American conflict for 33 years. A man who had killed for his country on 5 continents. His name was Smedley Darlington Butler. And he said yes. Then he walked straight into Congress and blew the entire thing open. But here's what they didn't tell you. Smedley Butler didn't just expose a coup. He looked back at 33 years of war, every battle he'd fought, every man he'd watched die. And he realized something that would destroy his reputation, end his career, and make him the most dangerous man in America. War is a racket. And he had the receipts. If they did, you can too. Let's go back. 1881, Westchester, Pennsylvania. Smedley Butler is born into a Quaker family. Peace is in his blood. Non-violence is his faith. He is 16 years old when the Spanish-American War begins. He lies about his age. He enlists. What follows is 33 years of war. Haiti, Nicaragua, Mexico, Cuba, China, the Philippines, France. Butler fights them all, leads men into impossible situations, watches them die. He wins the Medal of Honor. Then he wins it again. He becomes the only Marine in history to be awarded both the Marine Corps Brevet Medal and 2 Medals of Honor. He is, by any measure, America's greatest soldier. But here is the crisis no history textbook will tell you. While Smedley Butler is fighting, while thousands of young Americans are dying in jungles and trenches across the globe, something else is happening back home. Something quiet. Something enormously profitable. Between 1914 and 1918, the 4 years of World War I, American weapons manufacturers' profits increase by 800%. 800%. DuPont, the gunpowder company, goes from making $9 million a year to making $68 million. Bethlehem Steel becomes one of the largest companies on Earth. J.P. Morgan's bank handles $3 billion in Allied purchases. $3 billion in 4 years. Who pays for this? Not the bankers, not the industrialists, not the men in the boardrooms. The boys in the trenches pay for it. 50,000 American dead in World War I. 20 million dead across Europe. And the machine that produces this, the machine that turns young men into prophets, has a name. Butler will give it that name. But not yet.
We have the generals.
First,
the corporations are
something
committed.
happens that
Their
opens
role is
his
pivotal.
eyes.
Document this.
Something he can never unsee. 1927, Nicaragua. Butler is sent to protect American business interests. Which businesses? The United Fruit Company, American banks, mining operations. He's not protecting democracy. He's not fighting tyranny. He is, as he will later write, a high-class muscle man for big business. A gangster, in uniform. The realization hits him like a bullet he never dodged in 30 years of combat. Every war he fought, every man he watched bleed into foreign soil, somebody made money from it. And that somebody was never in the jungle with him. Before we go further, if this story is already hitting different than anything you've heard in a history class, hit subscribe, because every week on the History Disruptors, we find the stories they decided you shouldn't know, the ones hiding in plain sight. If they did, you can too. Now, let's meet the man who decided to say it out loud. 1933. America is in crisis. The Great Depression has collapsed the economy. 25% of Americans are unemployed. Banks are failing. Bread lines stretch for blocks. Franklin Delano Roosevelt has just been elected president. He is about to launch the New Deal, government programs to help working Americans. The men who profit from the old system are furious. So they make a plan. The group includes some of the most powerful names in American business: Prescott Bush, Robert Sterling Clark, Grayson Murphy, Gerald C. Maguire. Backed by figures connected to Wall Street's most powerful institutions. Their model? Mussolini, Hitler, Franco. Fascism is working in Europe, they reason. Why not here? They need an army, and they need a general the American people will follow. They choose Smedley Butler. He is the most beloved soldier in America. Veterans will follow him anywhere. He has the medals, he has the reputation, he has the face. Maguire approaches him personally. They will provide $500 million. They will provide 500,000 veterans, armed and ready. All Butler has to do is march on Washington, force Roosevelt to step aside, take power. Butler listens. He asks questions. He gets names. He gets details. He gets everything. Then he walks into the office of the House Committee on Un-American
Men, what
Activities.
I'm about to say will shock you.
And he tells
We
them
were
everything.
betrayed by those we trusted.
This is the moment that should have destroyed the conspirators. The moment that should have made Smedley Butler the greatest hero in American history. What actually happens is complicated. The committee confirms his testimony. It is genuine. The plot was real. But then, the names are quietly removed from the final public report. The newspapers, owned by the same class of men involved in the plot, barely cover it. Time magazine calls Butler a blatherskite, a loudmouth. No one is arrested. No one is charged. The plotters go on with their lives, their fortunes intact. Here is where a lesser man quits. Here is where most people decide the system is too powerful. Take the money, stay quiet, write your memoirs and disappear. Butler does the opposite. He picks up a pen. 1935. Smedley Butler publishes a short book, 66 pages, priced so that any working American could afford it. The title? War is a Racket. In it, he writes words that will echo for 90 years. War is a racket. It always has been. It is possibly the oldest, easily the most profitable, surely the most vicious. He names names. He cites numbers. In World War I, 21,000 new American millionaires and billionaires were made. 21,000. While 50,000 Americans were dying. He proposes radical solutions. Take the profit out of war. Pay soldiers what the generals make. Let the people vote on whether to go to war. The establishment media ignores the book.
American workers, hear
The
me!
government ignores the book.
Profiteers are bleeding ass
And
off!
Butler,
Of
the
your
most
peace
decorated
now!
Marine in US history, dies in 1940, largely forgotten. The book goes out of print. But ideas don't die. They wait. January 17th, 1961. President Dwight D. Eisenhower, 5-star general, Supreme Allied Commander of World War II, sits down to deliver his farewell address to the nation. He is the most militarily credentialed president in American history. What he says will shock the country. In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. The military-industrial complex. He is saying, in presidential language, in diplomatic language, exactly what Butler said in 66 pages 26 years earlier. War is a machine, and the machine profits certain people. Let us look at the numbers. World War II, US defense industry profits, $8.5 billion. Korea, $22 billion in defense contracts. Vietnam, $200 billion in military spending. Companies like Dow Chemical and Boeing report record profits, while 58,000 Americans die. Iraq War, 2003. Halliburton, whose former CEO became vice president, receives $39.5 billion in government contracts. $39.5 billion. As of today, with active conflicts burning across the globe, the global defense industry generates over $2.2 trillion per year. $2.2 trillion. Butler's 1935 book, the one ignored, ridiculed, buried, is now read in universities, quoted by senators, cited by economists. It has never been out of print since it was rediscovered in the 1990s. The man they called a blatherskite, the soldier they tried to use, the general who refused to march, was right about everything. And the question his life forces us to ask is still the most important question in the world today. When you look at any war, any conflict, anywhere on earth, ask, who profits? Follow the money. And the truth will be waiting at the end of that trail. Pause for a second. Smedley Butler spent 33 years being the weapon. Then he spent the rest of his life warning people about the hand that holds the weapon. He paid for that warning with his reputation, his career, his legacy. And history proved him right. I want to ask you something, and I want you to answer in the comments. What truth do you know that you've been afraid to say out loud? What have you seen, in your work, in your industry, in your life, that you know is wrong, but the system feels too powerful to fight? Drop it below, because maybe you're not alone. Maybe the world is finally ready to hear it. Now, let's talk about what Butler's life means for yours. So, what do we take from Smedley Butler? Not just a history lesson, a blueprint. Lesson 1. The most powerful act is refusing to be used. Butler was the perfect weapon. Decorated, beloved, trusted. They handed him everything he needed to take power. And he said no. In your life, there will be moments when someone offers you something enormous. A promotion, a partnership, a shortcut. And buried in the offer is the cost, your integrity, your truth, your soul. The most powerful word in the English language in that moment is the word Butler said. No. Lesson 2. Document everything, then use it. Butler didn't just refuse the coup plot. He memorized every name, every number, every detail. He built his case before he went public. Whatever truth you carry, build the evidence first. Speak when you have the facts. Speak with specifics. A vague accusation is easy to dismiss. 66 pages of documented receipts is impossible to ignore. Lesson 3. The medium matters. Choose the people. Butler testified to Congress. They buried it. So he wrote a book priced for working Americans. He went around the gatekeepers. Directly to the people. Today you have YouTube, podcasts, social media. The gatekeepers no longer control the microphone. If your truth matters, find the format that reaches the people who need it, and put it there. Lesson 4. Truth is patient. Ideas outlive empires. Butler died in 1940, largely forgotten. His book sat in obscurity for 50 years. Then the world caught up. Now, in 2026, with wars burning on every continent, with defense stocks at record highs, War is a Racket is more relevant than it has ever been. If you are carrying a truth that the world isn't ready for, don't abandon it. Plant it. Water it. And trust that the generation that needs it will find it. Butler was fighting enemies he could see, in jungles he could name. Then he found a harder enemy, one with no uniform, no flag. An enemy that profits from the fighting itself. He fought that enemy with the only weapon left, the truth, spoken plainly, to anyone who would listen. How many Butlers are out there right now? People who know something, who've seen something, who are waiting, afraid, for the right moment. The right moment is always now. Butler proved that the system will try to bury you. He also proved that the system cannot bury an idea whose time has come. Don't let your truth die in a drawer.
How the most
This is
decorated
History
Marine in history
Disruptors.
became America's biggest threat.
Every week, we find the people who saw the machine clearly and refused to be part of it. Smedley Butler won 2 Medals of Honor, fought on 5 continents, served his country for 33 years. Then he looked at everything he'd done, and he told the truth. They tried to use him for a coup. He said no. They tried to silence his book. It outlived them all. They tried to bury his name. We are saying it today. Eisenhower heard him, said the same thing in the language of presidents. We are still living inside the machine Butler described, but we are also living in the moment Butler believed in. When enough people know the truth, the machine has to answer for itself. If they did, you can too. Smedley D. Butler, Major General, USMC. I spent 33 years in the Marines. I was a racketeer, a gangster for capitalism. He said it. Now you know it.